The motherfucking world is a ghetto, full of magazines, full clips, and heavy metal when the smoke settles. I'm just looking for a big yellow in 6-inch stilettos, Dr. Dre. Hello. Percolating, keep 'em waiting while you sitting there hating. Your bitch is hyperventilating, hoping that we penetrating. You get snating, cause I never been to Satan. For hardcore administrating, gangbang affiliating. MC Winner had you wildin' off the zone in a whole half a gallon. Hit the dialing, 911 emergency. You can tell him it's my son, he's hurting me, and he's a felon. On parole for robbery, ain't no copping a plea, ain't no stopping a G. I'm in the 6, you got to hop in the 3. Company monopoly, you handle shit sloppily. I drop a key properly. They call me the Don Dada, pop a collar, drop a dollar. If you hear me, you can holler, even rock waller.
Hey everyone, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I'm Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah. Sudden kind of emergency live stream, I guess you might say. This is good? All right. A lot of people are saying this is a good time for a live stream. All right, everyone. Yeah, we got stuff going on today. Amazingly. Bleeding Cool is showing interest in Comicsgate. Well, Rich Johnson is. I mean, Rich Johnson's showing interest in Comicsgate, specifically one particular story. Let's see who's here. We're going to talk about this. We got Ideas and Men says protect. Antonio Cardenas is here. Hello, everyone. K-Sis, leg kick. Hello, EBS. What it do, Uncle E, says K-Sis. J Gat says, Hail Caesar. Hello. Yeah. I'm wearing my Lizzo shirt, as you can see. Andrea said, you're not going to wear that outside ever, right? I said, well, to church, maybe. You know. I might wear it to church, but nowhere else, I guess. Mayfield Juke says YouTube. Oh, wow. Look at this. YouTube didn't show this live stream on EBS's page. I see it. I'm reading your chat, over here. I see it. So that's okay. Spirits Car is here. YouTube is going to be, if Twitter is to be believed, and we do believe Twitter, YouTube is going to be up to some shenanigans and chicanery, some schemes and scams, manipulation. They're out to hurt other YouTubers. A lot of people are worried about COPPA. I read about COPPA, and I'm not worried about COPPA. I don't think that applies to this channel or anything that we do here. YouTube also announced that they're going to be monitoring bullies. They're going to be monitoring people who obsess over, who make content that obsesses over individuals. Good thing I'm not a false flagger. Good thing I'm not that person that would actually put those people on blast. Can you imagine? Buy Comic Book Hut, buy Preston Poulter, buy SWC Central. Just send those guys back to hell. This is the way 2020 is going to go. In anticipation of the election, I think this is far more about politics. And I think that's sketchy. I think the idea that if I want to make videos every day denigrating Joe Biden, for example, and YouTube does specifically say you're not allowed to do that. You can't denigrate public figures every single day. Well, okay. Let me see. So no Joe Biden. I guess hopefully that means no Trump. And let's see. No Ryan Johnson. No Kathleen Kennedy. No Brie Larson videos. YouTube is going to be a very, very dull place. It's going to be interesting if you want to keep your channel safe. I don't know. A lot of people say worry, panic. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to keep doing what I do. I think my channel is pretty clean. Clean as the driven snow. That's Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and we intend to keep it that way. I'm going to share a screen for a minute. We're going to talk about big news here. This guy's excited. Look at him. Baby Yoda. Hasbro figures revealed, including a talking figure. Baby Yoda fans, the day is here. By the way, this guy, Jeremy Conrad, he's the only guy on Bleeding Cool that I actually like because He's really into action figures, and he talks about upcoming action figures that he's excited about. I appreciate that. I'm excited about toys too. Hasbro have officially revealed their line of the child figures. Included in the assortment is a 7.5-inch doll, which you can see demonstrated in the video below. I'm not going to watch that. 6.5-inch figure with limited posability, and a Black Series figure, and a new collection called the Bounty Collection that will be made up of 6 mini Baby Yodas in various poses. Check out the video of the talking plush below. I kind of started to watch this video, and first of all, it's way too long. It just seems to be this guy talking. All right, here is the talking plush. I don't like it. Let me just say, I think it sucks balls. The frog is nice. I like the frog a lot. It's a one-eyed frog. It's a one-eyed frog that Baby Yoda is eating. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like his face. I don't know. They can't get it right. This looks like nonsense. Here you've got cutesy Baby Yodas. They're actually like kind of anime style. What is this? Gremlins Gizmo. You can get Mogwai. You can get Mogwai from Sideshow. I buy Mogwai. When is this available? They roll up into little balls. You can buy Mogwai, everyone. It doesn't say. Does it say when they're coming out? I would actually get one of these. April 2020. Between February and April 2020. I will buy Mogwai. I have a Mogwai now. I have one of the old dolls from the 1980s somewhere down here. But yeah, I will definitely buy Mogwai. He comes with what, 3D glasses? All right. Very good information. So anyway, yeah, here are the Baby Yoda toys. This looks awful too. I don't want this. This isn't what I wanted. This doesn't look like Baby Yoda. This looks hideous. It's not cute. I don't like it. I like the frog. I don't like this. That doesn't look like Baby Yoda to me. Jeremy Conrad, stop acting like this is good. This isn't good. Let's see what the comments are saying. I don't even have any comments. I waited a long time. For my Baby Yoda toy, and this is what happens. This is what I get. Absolutely crazy. People are saying it looks meh. Yeah, I agree. It looks meh. Sir Billy Ritchie says, it looks okay. I get it. Well, here's what I would say. I would say put it in the egg. Put it in the egg stroller. I'd be more likely to get it in the egg stroller. Agent Jeremy says it looks at you scornfully, as it would. Sideshow Collectibles Baby Yoda is needed. Yeah. Let's see what Sideshow does, because this ain't making it. And these super cutesy, drawn by Tumblr girls versions of Yoda. I don't want these. I don't want these at all. I don't want this. God, these people don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. I blame you, whoever you are. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, I'm going to take a look at some super chats, and then we're going to talk about the reason for the season, which is treason. RT Bear. First of all, I haven't even watched RT Bear's video yet. I haven't seen it. But your boy Zach said, dude, you must see it. You must actually go watch RT Bear's video, because it's mandatory viewing. It's all about, the abuse of Marvel Comics. Something that I'm fully aware of. And he said, you must watch it. So I didn't even bother. I just had Art on last night, and Art kind of told the story. Gaming or What TM says, hail EVS, thanks for $2. Mark C says, free RT Bear. If he's imprisoned, yeah, I would demand that he be freed. I don't think he's been imprisoned yet. Diablo Arizona. Is it Diablo Arizona or Diablo AZ? Says, when is my Salamandroid cover coming? Dude, I'm glad you asked. I'm still I'm waiting to see more of this pop up, but people started getting them today, which is disappointing, because frankly, I wanted people to be getting them yesterday. But Andrea said that my expectations were too high in that regard, because it's Christmas time. I would think that Christmas would make the mail go faster, but no, it doesn't seem to. So this is the first instance that I saw of somebody saying that they got their books. Someone else said, yeah, we got ours too. I don't know. I'm waiting for an influx of people to say, I got my ash can. I want them read. I want them reviewed. I want all of that. But I mean, look, we've got something like 5,000, maybe even more today. I didn't go sign any today. Had to take Ava to the doctor. But I'm expecting a whole lot of people to start saying that they got them soon. And that includes you. I hope you get yours as well. All right, let's see here. Aaron, Amateur Ant says you can always upload to Minds. What is Mind? Oh, we're talking about like people have alternatives to YouTube. Well, if it comes to that, it comes to that. I just don't think that it will. I mean, I will be surprised. YouTube has done everything it can to beat down my channel personally. I gain 5 subscribers and I lose 10. It's just 10, even 10, all of a sudden instantly. I know YouTube's playing games. They've been doing the same thing to your boy Zach too, just beating down our channels. So it is what it is. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm perfectly happy where I'm at. I've got a pretty good reach. I've got loyal sub base that watches my videos and shows up for my live streams. I'm perfectly content. Aaron Lessard Music says, buy Baby Yoda and launch him from the trebuchet. Well, I don't know if I need to do that. And Diablo AZ comes back and says, you the man, EBS. Thank you very much. You the man. And I do appreciate, your support. All right. So, yeah, let's talk about RT Bear and all this. I don't know if I want to invite Comics Gators in here or not. I liked having RT Bear on solo yesterday. It was just one-on-one, and it was kind of nice. But at the same time, I really kind of I like just doing this by myself. I have 6 or 7 people in here, and I'm like, I don't know. I like to control the flow of conversation on my own show. And when I'm the only one talking, it's easy to do that. Let's see. Zaresh says, I hope this isn't just a push for mainstream content that hurts new channels. I don't know. I think it's the election. I think that what happens is it's 2020 and YouTube understands its reach. It understands its power to communicate. I mean, there are people on YouTube who have bigger platforms than CNN and reach more people than CNN. When we talk about influencers, we are seen as influencers. And surely I can convince 1,000 people to do something or not do something. I could probably convince 1,000 people to buy something with my channel. That's power. That's real power. I could say, yeah, I'm eating these special strawberry Twinkies. And I am too. I'm eating these special strawberry Twinkies and they're great. You guys, and I'll bet you 1,000 people buy strawberry Twinkies. So that's what YouTube's concerned about. And my platform is relatively small. Imagine being PewDiePie and pushing the electorate a little bit, getting the youth vote out. Let's see. Immortal Thinker says, Hail Caesar and Hail War Campaign, hashtag Malin Militia. Really good news about John Malin, by the way. He got his live streaming back today. I don't know if that's meant to be a surprise. I hope not. But he's able to live stream, so he's going to host the Jack Show on his channel tonight. I really hope this doesn't mean the end of Malin After Midnight. I really liked Malin After Midnight. I mean, when John Malin was launching a new Malin After Midnight video, I was there. I was like waiting for it. Those videos were so well crafted. Live streams, anybody can do live streams. Most people can't do them well. Like me, I suck at it. But most people can't do good live streams. But John was making great content, and I hope he continues to do that. But I'm glad. Thank you for letting him have his streaming ability back. I felt like an a-hole for that for 3 months. I used to love Charlie XCX. I don't love Charlie XCX anymore because of John Malin. It's true. That ruined my love of Charlie XCX. Mortal Thinker said, oh, I read that one already. Here's the other one that I wanted to read. Diablo AZ says, Art T. Bear is a living legend. He's old as fuck with 2 U's in there. He's older than me, that's for sure. Yeah. All right, so I love Lizzo now. Lizzo's the new thing. not Lizzie. That's different. Lizzo. Lizzo. All right, so yes, this is true too. Matt Wenger, best live stream. Oh, before I do anything else, before I go any further, let me say a couple of things here. Let me talk about Chrono Mechanics, which is RT Bear's current Indiegogo campaign. And of course, Rich Johnson does make hay of the fact that RT Bear does have an Indiegogo campaign up right now. This is what they believe. I mean, people really believe that I think these social justice warriors in comics really do kind of believe that, we sit there and talk about being victims of them in order to sell more comics. And first of all, you a-holes can stop victimizing people who aren't SJWs. That would be step one. None of us want to be victims. I don't want to be a victim of social justice warriors in comics. I don't want to be a victim of any of these people, but I am. I mean, that's just the reality. I don't talk about it. I don't complain about it much because I have a set of fully functioning, descended, large bulls. And therefore, I don't enjoy talking about myself as a victim or somebody who's unhappy at the way I'm being treated. I don't like that. I don't like it. And Art doesn't like it either. Art doesn't want to talk about it, but he's talking about it now. I think Art is kind of saying, I'm all in. I'm Comicsgate. There are a lot of weasels who sort of circle Comicsgate. Maybe you guys have seen a few of them. They circle Comicsgate. They orbit it. They take from it like parasites. But they want to keep that door open to possibly re-enter the mainstream again. They want to leave that option open. So they're, you'll see these people. You'll see every now and then when somebody from the mainstream appears on a Comicsgate stream, you'll see these weasels kind of curtsy to them a little bit. Yeah, well, yeah, Spike. Yeah, Spike. That whole thing. You'll see them kind of, they'll just kind of be nice to them, be super nice to them. Even when they're being insulted to their faces, they're still being nice to, these people, these SJWs in the mainstream. These individuals don't take Comicsgate seriously. They're kind of hoping to be able to re-enter the mainstream, to re-ingratiate themselves to the right people and go back. And they never will. I mean, they'll never be allowed back. RT Bear is just kind of like, look, I've got this story. This is something that happened to me, and I'm going to tell it right now. I did the same thing 2 years ago. I spilled my guts about Marvel and my treatment at Marvel Comics. I wasn't selling a comic back then. I was trying to create a story. I used this channel to try to kind of create the story of my career. So I talked about every single one of my comics, and I did commentary for them. And then, Marvel Comics being not only 6 comic books that I did, but also an event, something that changed my life. I did a 3-part series called Marvel Comics Days Live. I was very good. It was good radio. It was Orson Welles style radio. And I talked about how they lied to me. I talked about how backstabbing, how manipulative Marvel Comics was in 2002. Nobody was to be trusted. Everybody was worried about losing their jobs. There was money was tight. It was a bad time. Poor planning all around. Just dishonesty. So Art's talking about. It turns out that Art. I didn't know this about Art. Art got blacklisted from Marvel Comics, I guess, or blacklisted from Marvel Comics in 2002, the same year that I was fired from Marvel Comics. Fascinating. It was the same environment, and Art describes it. And when Art describes it, I know it's true because I was there at that time. But that's none of my business. Yeah. So, Art's got Chrono Mechanics. This is his current series, and we talked it up yesterday. We boosted it a little bit. But Art, now that he has his YouTube, he's really becoming a good orator. I listen to RT Bear's live streams, and he's a powerful speaker. He has a good way of putting things, and he is knowledgeable. He is honest. He's direct. Other people are less so. This is Bleeding Cool today. RT Bear finally talks about getting blacklisted at Marvel to promote his comic Chrono Mechanics. See this ugliness here? I never knew Art was blacklisted from Marvel. I never knew it. Art basically hit us up in private and just said, I'm hearing from Rich Johnson that he's going to do a piece on me. And I don't know what to expect. You know, poor Art's so naive. He's like, is Rich Johnson on the up and up? I'm like, no, he is not. Rich Johnson is a weasel and a snake. Rich Johnson, here's what's going to happen. Rich Johnson will basically find targets in your story. And if Rich Johnson can kill two birds with one stone with your story and denigrate you at the same time, then he finds interest in it, which is what it probably happened here. Rich Johnson, not crazy about CB Sobolski. He's going to whack him out here. Rich Johnson hates Comicsgate. Going to whack Comicsgate here. Rich Johnson is going to find a new target in you. Maybe people don't know that our T-Bear is Comicsgate. Now he's going to tell them. Anders says, Ethan, Captain Planet's powers are Earth, Wind, Fire, Water, and Heart. Thank you, Anders. I knew I was missing one of them. Water. I knew Heart. I knew Heart. So here we go. This is the article. So, Art's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm like, I don't know. Be honest, be forthright and trust in God. There's nothing you can do. Rich Johnson's going to make hay of you. He's going to try to get people after you. And, just be honest. That's the only thing to do. Now, Art told me something interesting. He says that Rich claims he has a source. Rich claimed that he had a source to Art. That DC Comics bribed Art T-Bear to get Marvel talent to come have lunch with DC Comics editorial. That's what Rich Johnson told Art T-Bear. Oh my God, I gotta find out if this is in the article. That is so incredibly funny. The DC Comics. That anyone for DC Comics would be like, hey, Art, I'll duke you $150 if you can get Dave Finch to have lunch with us. I mean, what the hell? Now, that might have been bait just to get Art mad. We'll see if this is in the article or not. We're going to read this together. It'll be fun. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'm sure everybody from Comicsgate is going to be doing this. This article. Art T-Bear finally talks about getting blacklisted at Marvel. And the reason he does it, according to the title of this article, is to promote his comic Chronomechanics. Why not? Now's as good a time as any, Rich Johnson. Art T-Bear is currently running a crowdfunding campaign for his comic book. I'm gonna make my face work really hard for this. Normally, I'm very lazy with my facial muscles. I'm gonna do a little Preston Poulter inspired me. Art T-Bear is currently running a crowdfunding campaign for his comic book Chronomechanics on Indiegogo, which is the perfect time to talk about why he hasn't worked for Marvel Comics since 2002, a story he has been saving for this moment right here. Okay. Known mostly as an inker and a nice guy, a father, T-Bear worked most prominently on the X-Men and Cable books at Marvel Comics in the 90s before jumping to Image Comics, where he worked on his own title, Black and White, before returning to Marvel, where he worked as an inker with Mark Bagley on Ultimate Spider-Man and with Andy Kubert and David Finch on Ultimate X-Men. These are the biggest of these are huge names. Until suddenly he wasn't. Yesterday on YouTube, he decided to tell everyone why, while also encouraging people to back his crowdfunder. Well, that's a good use of his time, Rich. I talk about everything. I talk about everything that there is. And then I also, while I'm talking about it, I encourage people to back my crowdfunder. Cyberfrog Blood Honey limited edition line art variants, which passed $70,000. We're this close to 1,000 backers. We need 11 backers to get to 1,000 backers. That's cool. We're shipping these out this month. So if you don't have one yet, the link is in the description. Make sure that you get Cyberfrog Blood Honey limited edition line art variants. Make sure that you do it, because Rich Johnson, when he writes another article about me, needs to be able to say that I just make videos to sell comic books. He couldn't be more right. He couldn't be more right. All right, here's Art. Look at him. He looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi. He looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi with specs. After moving to Image Comics and suffering from an industry sales decline, THIBERT talks about returning to Marvel with his tail slightly between his legs. That wasn't his tail, Rich. That wasn't his tail. Okay, it was his tail. Penciler Andy Kubert. After penciler Andy Kubert had requested him to work with him. But it wasn't that easy. THIBERT says that then EIC Bob Harris, who was now over there at, what the fuck? Ew! Hold on a second. How can I get rid of this? I don't want to look at Greta. We got to go fast. We got to go fast to get past Greta. This is important, though. All right, here we go. THIBERT says that then EIC Bob Harris wanted THIBERT to pay his dues to get back, and THIBERT didn't blame him. He says he started building back his resume and trust with the company, began working with Carlos Pacheco on X-Men books. Then Ultimate Line happened. He was picked to work on both Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men, and he quotes Bob Harris telling him on Spider-Man, quote, I want you to ink Mark Bagley. I want you to bury him. I don't want to see Mark Bagley. I want to see you. Well, Bob Harris apparently not a fan of Mark Bagley. Bury Mark Bagley. I buried Bagley. Wow, that's a revelation. Bob Harris is working at DC Comics now. I honestly, I never asked Bob Harris for anything. I took lunch with him one time, and we're talking about doing a Green Lantern book. The Green Lantern book turned out to be Edge of Oblivion with Tom Taylor. And I knew the entire time I was talking to Bob Harris that it didn't matter anything that I said to him. I could just go to Dan DiDio and get it done. Like Bob Harris was going to have to ask Dan DiDio. So I was like, why don't I just cut out the middleman and just go ask Dan DiDio myself, which is what I did. So Bob Harris is over there. I don't want to see Mark Bagley. I want to see you. It may be worth noting at this point that it was Bill Jemas, and Joe Quesada who set up the creative teams for the Ultimate books, and Joe was EIC at the time, but that was almost 20 years ago. Okay, so he's calling a liar. He's saying that Bob Harris wouldn't have been the guy to say this because Bob Harris wasn't the guy who would have hired Art THIBERT. Bill Jemas, man, I remember Bill Jemas, what a weirdo, and Joe Quesada set up the creative teams for the Ultimate books. Joe was EIC at the time. Yeah, but he's an inker. I wonder if Joe Quesada would have delegated hiring an inker, or if Joe Quesada would have been so picayune that he would have picked the inker for the Ultimate books. I would defer to Art THIBERT's memory about that. I would. All right. THIBERT. See, this is the thing. Like Rich Johnson doesn't quite know what he's talking about. He's close, but he doesn't quite know what he's talking about. THIBERT thought they had 6 issues on the series tops, as John Byrne had recently. I like how all the names are emboldened. I appreciate that. It's like I'm dropping a name here. John Byrne had recently launched Spider-Man Year One, and quote, it was a failure, but Ultimate Spider-Man was a huge hit and kept on going. 3 years later, he says he was, quote, back on top. And when Andy Kubert left, Marvel kept art on to ink Ultimate X-Men artist Dave Finch. I love Dave Finch. He talks about how he didn't miss an issue of Ultimate Spider-Man in that time, even when both of his parents died. Even when they were double shipping to put out 16 issues a year, he was inking 3 books a month, won awards, and calls this good times. Life was good, money was good, sales were good. 2001, 2002. Yeah. Cheers to the early 2000s at Marvel Comics. It was good. The content was good too. Mark Miller. And Bendis too, but Mark Miller. Cheers, Mark Miller. But he says that Marvel executive David Bogart told his editor that THIBERT was falling behind and should give uninked pages to other inkers. Though THIBERT denies this, that they were 3 months ahead of schedule. He says that he would just get 10 pages of pencils at a time from Bagley, which would then take him time to ink. Ultimate Spider-Man writer Brian Michael Bendis, heard about this and was not happy. He was wanting himself, Bagley, and THIBERT to beat the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby 100-plus record on the Fantastic Four together. Well, that's interesting, but you see, Stan and Jack had many different inkers. It wasn't just one inker art. I preferred Chick Stone. Okay, but Chick Stone didn't do everything. Lots of inkers worked on Jack Kirby during the Fantastic Four run. I don't blame Mark THIBERT for that misconception. I blame Bendis for it. THIBERT sent Bogart some original artwork as a gift, wanting to reach out and talk through any issues, but he didn't hear back. Real nice, Dave. David Bogart, he sent you original artwork, my friend. You can't just say thank you. You can't just say thank you to Art THIBERT for original pages of artwork. I would say you've gotten too big for your britches, Bogart, but you're 4 feet tall. THIBERT recounts how Bogart had previously wanted THIBERT to trial a new plan for Marvel for inkers to work from reproduction pencils rather than the original pencil pages themselves. Marvel spend hundreds and thousands in FedEx fees shipping pencil art to inkers and back. The idea was that pencilers could scan their work in, email it to inkers, who could print them out as blue lines on artboards, ink the pages, scan them back, and resend them to Marvel. And THIBERT was being asked to work out the prototype of this method. THIBERT had concerns about what this may do to the original art market, as well as the technical skill, administrative effort needed, and the materials needed. He said that Bogart said that he would set up the scanning and printing gear for free, and if it worked out, THIBERT could keep it. If not, they'd take it back. Okay. THIBERT would also have to get broadband high-speed internet, as these were still the dial-up days. Yeah, I mean, back then, I'll tell you, the comic book industry has really changed. When I first started, everything was done through FedEx. You knew your company's FedEx number, and like you would draw pages and you would have to get to the FedEx depot. You have to you get your pages, fill out the FedEx form, and get that thing out in the mail. Get it overnighted to your editor if you wanted to get paid on time. Nowadays it's funny. It's like, first of all, that must have been extremely expensive for the companies, and second of all, like now you can just go ahead and just scan a page in and send it over at 3 a.m. and make sure your editor has it the next day. But yeah, in these days it was crazy. I just remember being in the car. See you later. I got to go to FedEx. A big stack of pages. Not that big. Not a big stack of pages. Like 3 pages usually. THIBERT said he wanted a day to think about it and wanted to talk to others in the industry first. To Bogart's reported response, why do they need to know? But THIBERT called up other inkers, Scott Hanna. That, by the way, I believe him that David said this. Danny Mickey, Dan Pinochet, and others for their thoughts. Hanna told THIBERT that he couldn't even get high-speed internet where he lived, so how would he do business? THIBERT also had concerns about the added workload that the administrative art department usually takes on and not getting paid anymore for it. So THIBERT passed, said, I don't want to be the guy who tests this out. He feared a ripple effect he didn't want to be responsible for. He didn't want to be that guy for Bogart to slam the phone down on him. New York City. Wow, that's interesting. New York Comic-Con 2002, with all the Ultimate team assembled, Art THIBERT says that he was invited for lunch at the show by DC editor Joan Hilty, who I don't believe is there any longer, who his studio had worked for. As he was walking out, he saw Mark Bagley, so invited Mark to come to lunch with them. Hilty invited then DC Comics executive Dan DiDio too. THIBERT says he is awesome. He was awesome. I have nothing bad to say about him. And with DC picking up the tab, THIBERT says that DiDio asked Bagley if he'd be interested in working at DC. Bagley said he was pretty happy at Marvel, and that was it. On returning to the Marvel offices after the show, by the way, all of that sounds real. All that sounds 100% genuine. That's kind of the way Dan would operate. Dan invited everybody to come work for DC, and he would romance people to come work. He's like, hey, what's it going to take? What's it going to take to get Dave Finch to work for DC? What is it going to take to get Steve McNiven to come over to DC? What's it going to take? Let's just talk about it. Let's open up a conversation. Let's open up a dialogue. Oh, I'm really happy at Marvel. Sure you are. Sure you are. So what would it take to get you to be just as happy, if not happier, at DC? Surely there's something you're missing. And that's the way Dan DiDio talked to people. You know, Dan spoke to talent that way. He wanted people to be excited about working for DC, and he wanted the best talent to work for the company. This was back when people had money. That's none of my business. On returning to the Marvel offices after the show, THIBERT says he found then Marvel assistant editor, now EIC, CB Sobolski in the Marvel offices. But then he was just another guy. Now, previously, Dave Finch and Art Thibert had been offered the Batman comic at DC after Jim Lee and Scott Williams' run Hush. At the time, Thibert says he advised David Finch not to do it, that it was a losing proposition to follow Jim Lee, something he knew a lot about. He did it before on X-Men and talked about how you become open to comparison, and the sales are never as good, while the Ultimate books remain steadily in the top 5 sellers. Thibert says that Sobolski told him that he wanted to write comics, wanted to write Batman, and wanted to know who he should talk to, that he wanted some advice, and asked Thibert, weren't you and Dave offered Batman? Why would Sobolski, who was assistant editor of Marvel Comics, be asking Art Thibert who to talk to about writing Batman? Like, that would have been a flabbergasting situation. You're an assistant editor of Marvel Comics says, I want to write comics. I want to write Batman. Who do I talk to about writing Batman? I don't know. First talk to Joe Quesada. First talk to your boss and let him know that you're having these weirdo thoughts before you talk to me. You could probably figure it out from there. What a bullshit gay op. This would be gay ops before the internet had gay ops. These were gay ops. Weren't you and Dave offered Batman? Thibert says, yeah, we were offered the job and we weren't going to take it. But when Thibert got home from the show, he says he got a phone call from Sobolski saying that he had David Bogart on the phone and that we're going to have to let you go, fire you. He asked, well, for what? He says he regarded Marvel as a family at this point, and he was no longer living the freelance back and forth. He wanted to do what was necessary to stay at Marvel. But why? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Comfortable. He says he was told, we have heard that you're trying to steal talent away from Marvel and bring them to DC. He asked how. That it was not in his power to hire anybody. He asked if this was in reference to Mark and Art going to lunch with DiDio and Joan. He was told, yes, and other things, including the Batman offer. He says he told them, I've been working for Marvel for 20 years, responsible for books put out. What are you talking about? How? What the fuck? He was told he was fired from Ultimate Spider-Man as a result. Accusing Sobolski of ratting him out over the Batman offer, he says Sobolski told him that Marvel already knew. Thibert asked what he was going to do without Ultimate Spider-Man, to be told he was fired from Ultimate X-Men too. He asked again for what? The people in the industry have lunch all the time. That DiDio asked Bagley about DC. That happens all the time too. And that Marvel people do it to DC people all the time as well. Now, at this point, I've obviously been talking to other people about these allegations. All right, so here comes Rich Johnson again. Rich Johnson is going to counter this story. He says, and while Marvel Comics aren't willing to offer any comment, I've been led to understand that Marvel has made investigation and had proof that Thibert had not only been poaching talent from Marvel to DC, but had been paid by DC Comics for doing so. Woo! I can't believe Rich wrote that. Holy shit! Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Oh my God. Hello, Dan DiDio. Hello, Jim Lee. Hello, DC Comics. Marvel Comics is accusing you of bribing, of paying bribes to freelancers, to hidden agents within Marvel Comics, paying them cash to woo away their talent. Could I see the receipts, or was this made in cash? Was this offer made in cash? Holy shit! Holy shit! Rich, I can't believe you wrote this. I can't believe you. First of all, Marvel Comics is clearly insane and mentally ill, okay? This is a mentally ill thing to accuse DC Comics of doing. I wouldn't accuse Marvel Comics of doing this. Marvel's accusing DC of doing this. They'd been paid by DC Comics for doing so, and that they showed this proof to THIBERT. But obviously, THIBERT is this proof. We have proof that you've accepted money from DC Comics for poaching talent from Marvel to DC. Why the hell would Art THIBERT do that? How does that show up? How does DC write that off on their taxes? How does DC... Well, we've got a certain amount of money that we budget towards bribing freelancers at Marvel Comics to woo over. And evidently, it wasn't successful. So DC, you wasted your money. This is absolutely stunning. This is an amazing allegation. Thank you, Rich Johnson. Thank you for making Comic Artist Pro Secrets so interesting tonight. Unbelievable. Now, people in the chat are saying Art didn't do anything wrong. Well, I wouldn't be pointing the finger at Art. That's not what this is doing. This isn't pointing the finger at Art. This is Rich Johnson pointing the finger at DC Comics. Who cares what Art THIBERT does? Who cares what Art THIBERT does? If DC Comics said, Ethan, I'll give you some money to go poach some talent from Marvel Comics to DC, I might be like, so what? Okay. That doesn't happen. That's not something that happens in this business. Paying double agents. God, this is so weird. I can't even tell you how this is from the Twilight Zone. All right, so THIBERT is contradicting that in his testimony. Yeah, I would too. I would contradict it, Art. I believe you. I do not believe that Dan DiDio gave you cash money to get a lunch with Mark Bagley. I don't believe that. I would be stunned by that. I would be stunned by proof to that effect. When I asked him about it, he told me DC Comics has never paid me to woo people away from Marvel. They would never do such a thing, and I would never accept such an offer. I never tried to woo anyone from any company. Thank you, Art. So Marvel Comics is fucking lying right now. How weird is this? And their parents who support them. Everyday villains. Marvel editorial that accuses DC Comics of paying out bribes. I hope somebody from DC is seeing this. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. So Art denies it on behalf of DC Comics. It has nothing to do with Art's own honor. This is 100% a slur, a slander. This is libel. This is libel from Marvel Comics to DC Comics of the nature that I do not understand. Let me read this again. At this point, I've obviously been talking to other people about these allegations. Goddamn, Rich. And while Marvel Comics aren't willing to offer any comment, implying that Marvel Comics is who you're talking to, I've been led to understand that Marvel had made an investigation and had proof that THIBERT had not only been poaching talent from Marvel, the company he worked for, to DC, the company he had zero relationship with, but had been paid by DC Comics for doing so. And they showed this proof to THIBERT. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I can't believe What a fucking mess the comic book industry is. What a cesspool of vipers and liars and scumbags. Wow, dude. Rich, Rich, when you wrote this article, did you intend to make Art THIBERT look like the most virtuous man in the world while making Marvel and DC Comics look like corrupt clown shows full of liars? Did David Bogart, is he the one that said this? I want David Bogart to come out and actually deny this. David Bogart, are you saying that DC Comics is paying bribes to freelancers to woo? Is this what you're saying? That DC Comics is paying bribes to freelancers from Marvel Comics to woo away their talent to DC? And that you saw proof of this, and this is why you fired Art THIBERT? You fucking little midget. David Bogart was the editor of Cyberfrog in the 90s. He was my first editor. Back to the video. THIBERT states that Bogart then even told him, "You will never work at Marvel Comics again," which THIBERT found even more objectionable, as he had been working for Marvel longer than Bogart had. THIBERT asked if there was any way to change this, anything he could say or do, and he was told, "No, you'll never work here again," and he hasn't. I hate the comic book industry. This industry deserves to die. It deserves to go bankrupt and belly up and die. I mean, this is absolutely absurd. This is ridiculous. He said he thanked them very much for his time working at Marvel and concluded by telling them that you can go fuck yourself. He punched the wall, told his family, and says he had no idea how he was going to make ends meet. He called Mark Bagley and Dave Finch. Mark says that David Bogart already called him and told him that he was going to fire Art, and that Mark told him he didn't want this to happen. He wanted to keep the relationship, but he told Art that he didn't have any say in the matter. However, it seems that David Finch was okay with it. Art says he was still pretty mad at Dave, and still is. THIBERT believes that the reason Bogart called them both first was to check that A, they weren't going to quit and run to DC over it, and B, to send the message that creators are disposable, so they should value their Marvel jobs, and that talking to any competitor was not welcome. All true. This is absolutely unbelievable. This is just, it's a clown show. This is unreal. Rich Johnson, name your sources, because you're implying that this is David Bogart or somebody high up at Marvel Comics. Only somebody high up at Marvel Comics would have this kind of information. So when you're talking to other people about these allegations, Marvel Comics isn't willing to offer any comment, but you've been led to believe something that only somebody like David Bogart or C.B. Cebulski would know. You need to name them. You need to name who these people are. This is libel. This is slander. DC Comics will sue over this. You dummy. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And then, of course, you've got David Bogart, little thug, little midget thug, calling up Dave Finch, calling up Mark Bagley. You guys, keep your mouth shut. We're gonna whack this inker dude here to send a message. And that message is for you too. Don't be talking to DC, because we'll end your entire career in comics. We'll end it. Working at Harris Publications too long. David Bogart, what a piece of shit. Scott Hanna was brought in to ink Mark Bagley, Danny Mickey to ink Dave Finch, and Danny started prototyping the Blue Line initiative from Bogart. Isn't that interesting how that worked out? So Danny was willing to play ball. I like Danny Mickey, but there it is. That corroborates everything. Eventually, both Bagley and Finch went to DC Comics anyway. Good. THIBERT asked his YouTube channel what this accomplished from Marvel's side, aside from destroying a human's life. Addressing both Cebulski and Bogart through his YouTube, he says, "You destroyed my fucking life, David Bogart. Fuck you. And fuck you, CB. You are shameful. You are horrible human beings. You destroyed me for no reason at all, just to show power, just to make an example of me to other guys." And I believe it also had to do with the Blue Line situation. I said no to David Bogart, and he didn't like it. And we know that when these people ask you to do things, you better do them. They don't like to be told no. Just ask, well, we won't get into that. That's none of my business. He says that years later, he worked from Digital Blue Lines at DC Comics, but noted they both paid for his scanner and increased his page rate to compensate for the added work. So what happened next? Well, THIBERT says he got himself a good agent and started studying animation and moved into working in TV, taking meetings, and signing and pitching shows, getting work that way, and now has lots of IPs he owns, including Chrono Mechanics, which he says was forged out of his pain, and projected his experiences with Marvel into the comic with the rival characters Quickie Time Repair, having Joe Quesada as a boss, or Joe Q as the boss, an obvious reference to Marvel's Joe Quesada. I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's completely fictional. Entirely coincidental, who does not care about anything aside from the bottom line, mending things with band-aids and doing shoddy work. Wow, great. He says that Marvel has an SJW agenda. You're a part of it, Rich. Hiring what he calls Tumblr artists who are not worthy to hold a pencil. We see that every day. That he is still pretty angry and pretty fired up. That Marvel has destroyed their legacy or is in the process of doing that. That CB is now in charge and they're going down a bad path and their sales are reflecting that. And they are doing shady business practices. I agree with all of that. Wow, how much longer is this goddamn article? Despite that, he says Marvel artist Chris Bacallo asked to work with him at Marvel. So he tested the waters talking to Steve Wacker at Marvel Animation, who said it would have to go through David Bogart. And that if THIBERT apologized to David, he would take THIBERT back at a lesser rate until he proved his commitment to Marvel to get a better page rate. THIBERT also says he had a heart-to-heart, face-to-face with Joe Quesada, who says that if he apologized to David, he'd be sure he'd be brought back. David, I'm so sorry I didn't want to do your... I'm so sorry. he told Joe, you know I didn't do anything wrong, right? And he says he was told, yeah, I know. But if you apologize to Dave, you can come back. Kneel. Bend the knee. Bend the knee. Bend the knee to David. That's infuriating. But THIBERT insists he didn't do anything wrong. I would be the first to apologize when it's appropriate, but I didn't do anything wrong. If anything, David Bogart should apologize to me. In a way, Joe Quesada owes me an apology. He knows the truth, but he didn't say anything. He could have changed the situation. That he never had a falling out with Joe. That he never had a falling out with Joe, but that I don't trust Joe. Never think of him as a friend or go to him as a confidant. Talking to a commentator about Marvel, he says that it is now water under the bridge, but his wife to the side of the camera disagreed. Maybe for you. I remember your face when you walked in the door. You look like a puppy kicked in the face. It just broke my heart, and it makes me angry every time I think about it. Yeah. It affects everybody. It's not just it's not just you. It's your family too. Look at this. What is this? Krakoa and Professor in Return of Beak in today's Dawn of X. Let's see. I created every character on here. Neat. That's my Marvel legacy. Just call this Ethan Men. Call this Ethan X-Men. Ethan X. X Ethan. That's Beak. That's Glob Herman. I think that's Angel. Nice. I'm still not reading it. THIBERT says, when you take away a man's livelihood, it's devastating. Many men don't recover from it. They kill themselves. It's the modern equivalent of hunting and gathering. If you don't kill the deer, you don't eat and your family starves. When these SJWs cry out and say, get that guy fired, he said some things or he did some stuff. Instead of getting his hand slapped or penalized in some way, they're not happy with that. They want to destroy that human being. And until you've been destroyed by a company you were loyal to, you don't know what that feels like. to be that cavalier about somebody's life. That's horrible. That's why I hang out with these Comicsgate guys. They do speak out against some of this stuff. And if you have a different point of view, if you're more conservative or more progressive, I don't give a shit. But when you start to hurt people or start cheating to destroy people or just to win, then he talks about people creating false narratives, giving Iron Man and Mandalorian director, writer Jon Favreau as an example, only for T-Bear's own YouTube commentators to point out that he has mixed up his Jon Favreau's. He's been blaming the wrong Favreau this whole time. It may also be worth pointing out at this point that G.I. Joe writer Aubrey Sitterson was targeted by Comicsgate's Richard Meyer, demanding he be fired because A, he was a socialist, and B, as a New Yorker, he took umbrage at what he saw as people's fake outrage over 9/11, and Sitterson was indeed fired by IDW, by Hasbro as a result. Other creators similarly targeted by Comicsgate who lost their jobs include Chelsea Cain and Chuck Wendig. And plenty have tried to get me fired from Bleeding Cool as well. But anyway, well, I'll try harder, Rich. You know, that's none of my business. All right. The difference is R.T. Bear did absolutely nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. Aubrey Sitterson did do something wrong. Aubrey Sitterson was screaming at the customers and saying, fuck you, because your tears are fake over 9/11. Aubrey Sitterson was ruining G.I. Joe, screaming at the fans. All of the G.I. Joe websites and fan sites were complaining about him. He made G.I. Joe unrecognizable, and Hasbro was angry. The fact that Richard Meyer pointed this out is not the cause for Aubrey Sitterson getting fired. Aubrey Sitterson was going to get fired. Chelsea Cain got fired. I don't know why. That's between Chelsea Cain and Marvel Comics. I'd be interested in knowing why Chelsea Cain was fired. It had something to do with having a 6-issue Vision miniseries that took 2 years to do 4 issues, of which when there was already another Vision series that was being done. Chelsea Cain was told she was fired and was told to please keep it quiet. And Chelsea Cain chose not to keep it quiet. Chelsea Cain said, ask me about my feminist agenda. Everybody did except for Marvel. Her agenda was the feminist agenda, which was to blast Marvel through a megaphone the minute that they fired her for just cause. Now you know. Chuck Wendig's an a-hole. People blame me for getting him fired. I wish I could take the blame for that. Chuck Wendig was off his rocker, and it was clear. He had a big megaphone, and people were seeing and retweeting and talking about him telling Republicans to eat shit-covered boots. It was only a matter of time before Disney just couldn't take any more of him. The fact that I talked about it did not cause him to get fired. And that's just the truth. But the video seems to have worked. And during it, Chrono Mechanics got a big boost on his crowdfunding. Did you really? I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. Oh, well, there you go. I mean, I talk about him, and he gets a big boost, too. $18,725 for Chrono Mechanics. The link's in the description, guys. Let's get RT Bear to $20,000 tonight, if possible. I think that would be really, really cool. He deserves it. He deserves much, much, much more. Art's an old-school pro, and you can count on your book to get here safely. I backed him on Black and White, and I got it. And I mean to do a review. I need to do a review video. Being sick sucks. I just don't feel like doing any videos. But here we are. All right, he got a big boost on crowdfunding, and probably will from as this controversy continues to spill out. T-Bear talks about the comic having a new style, one that is just for this comic book, a little bit cartoony, a little bit goofy, inspired by his study of animation. You know what? It looks like it would have done very well on Tumblr a few years ago when Tumblr was a thing. But either way, he has a big story to tell, one that he's been holding on for 15 years and had 2.5 hours to tell it. Even if not everyone mentioned is the story on board. Even if everyone mentioned in the story, Rich, is on board with that narrative, it makes for a fascinating listen. What the hell? If not everyone. Okay, got it. So here's the link to his video. Marvel, they tried to destroy me. That's a great title. That is a great title. I love it. Did he get any comments yet? Let me see. I mean, I have comments. 27 comments. I hope you guys are commenting on this as well. Let Rich Johnson. I mean, this is the thing. I would say, Rich Johnson, tell us more, please. Aside from, all of this stuff here, tell us more about this person who made it clear to you, these other people making allegations that DC Comics is bribing freelancers at Marvel Comics to get lunches, to get business lunches with them. Are there pay stubs? Are there receipts? There must be receipts because they showed proof to RT Bear. I'd be interested in seeing this. I'm sure so would DC, so would Warner Brothers Legal. They'd be interested in seeing this. And if I were you guys, and we've got 1,120 people watching right now, I would go ahead and I would link this article to Warner Brothers, to DC Comics, to everybody associated with DC Comics, and demand to know, why Rich Johnson is accusing them in this article of paying out bribes. Paying out bribes to get their freelancers, to get other freelancers to poach Marvel talent. I think they need to know about this. I think this is important. I think this is worth your 2 minutes of Twitter time to just make sure that DC knows this. Tell them Rich Johnson knows. If they're looking for a name, I'm sure Rich Johnson protects his sources. But I mean, this could become a lawsuit. This is a pretty serious allegation. This is extraordinary. Let me read this paragraph again. Now, at this point, I have obviously been talking to other people about these allegations. Who? And while Marvel Comics aren't willing to offer any comment, I've been led to understand that Marvel had made investigation. Who would know that? Who would know that Marvel Comics made an investigation? What clown? What clown would know? Who would know that? What clown that talks to Rich Johnson off the record would let him know that? Marvel had made investigation, and they had proof that THIBERT had not only been poaching talent from Marvel to DC Comics, but had been paid by DC Comics for doing so. Do you understand how stupid this is? And that they showed this proof to THIBERT. All right, but THIBERT is contradicting this testimony. You guys can choose who you want to believe. Do you believe Art THIBERT? Art THIBERT said, DC never paid me to woo people away from Marvel. They would never do such a thing, and I would never accept such an offer. I never tried to woo anyone from any company. Do you believe Art THIBERT, or do you believe Richard Johnson's anonymous source that accuses DC Comics and Warner Brothers of malfeasance on this type of level, of paying out bribe money? That's the question. That is the question. Very interesting. All right, let's I can't. The comic book industry is so bad, dude. It is so bad. It's ill. It's just mentally ill. You could talk about social justice warriors if you want to. You can blame it on them, but it's just the people. I don't think it's about social justice warriors anymore. I just think that, horrible people become social justice warriors. First, you're a horrible person, and then you become a social justice warrior. Because I knew these people for a long time. They were horrible people. And then they became social justice warriors. Willingly, happily. So I don't think it's just necessarily the social justice warriors invaded the comic book industry. Indeed, they did. I mean, doors were opened for actual advocates and activists. And so, like left-wing activists were allowed to come in and just make changes to the comics and changes to the whole business. But these people were predisposed to doing that. These are people in 2002 that are making up lies about DC Comics paying out bribes. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. All right, let me read some super chats. Thank you, guys. Free RT Bear. Mortal Thinker says, Hail Caesar and Hail War Campaign. Hashtag Mail Militia. Diablo AZ says, RT Bear is a living legend. He's old as fuck. Didn't I read these already? Aaron Lessard Music says, just realized that YouTube has also unsubscribed me. Yeah, YouTube is doing that. If you didn't get a link or you didn't get alerted to this, It's possible that YouTube unsubscribed you without your permission. I know they're doing it. I'm watching them kind of unsubscribe, my subs. And double check and make sure that you're still subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications. Make sure that you do that, please. Don't allow YouTube to hurt this channel. Mark C says Art has great live streams. Sadly, he doesn't check YouTube to see if other Comic Skater Fandom Menace channels are streaming when he goes live. Neither do I, though. Mikey Goosler says, Ethan, did you see what I tweeted at you? I shared an article by RT that is in support of you in the Comicsgate movement. Yeah, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. The Russians, the Russians are really into Comicsgate. And it's funny. It's like Sweetcast. Sweetcast did an interview for them, which was good to see. It's a Trap Production says, does the Cyberfrog line art variant have fully colored pages inside, or is it an all line art edition? Fully colored pages inside. Okay, so it's the same as Blood Honey. It's just got a different cover on the front. Mark C says RT Bear would have to bend the knee so he could look at Bogart in the eyes. That is, that's correct as well. Oh my goodness, guys, what do we do? Ray says Lizzo unsubbed me. I'm sorry about that. Lizzo is subbing me. I'm all about that Lizzo. I think you should be able to just have your ass hanging out wherever you go. I think that's a person's right. 100%. All right, so I'm going to go. This was a quick live stream. I understand that. I wanted to talk about this article and get it out there when it was fresh and new. You guys spread the word, and I really do think that you should. I mean, that's what Twitter's for. Let Warner Brothers, let DC Comics know, and let's let's find out what's up with Rich Johnson. What the hell, dude? What the hell, Rich? How stupid are you? How dumb? This is ridiculous. All right, everyone. I'll see you again later. Tonight is the Jack Show. It's going to be on John Malin's channel. He's got his streaming power back. Hooray, hooray for that. So make sure that you don't miss it. And I'll see you guys again a little later. All right. Bye-bye.